Hi, everybody. This is Caroline Sotheby, and welcome to Up, Down, and Around Town. Okay, it's 2022. A lot of people are sort of getting antsy-pantsy now that the holiday season's done. They got everything put away. Um, I hope you're doing okay on your resolutions. I didn't make one this year. But anyway, there's something that called my attention, a couple weeks ago. But in particular today, I answered my telephone and somebody said, "Hi, Grandma, this is your oldest son." And I mean grandson. And I'm saying, doesn't sound like anybody that I know. I have 21 grandchildren, and doesn't sound like anybody from the group and the family. This Grandma Caroline, this is your oldest grandson. And I said, "Yeah, what's your name?" And all of a sudden, click, the telephone went down. So I think we're back in that area again where people are getting calls. So be cautious of what you're going to be asked to spend and send and so on. So anyway, another thing that I started to say, it called my attention a couple of weeks ago, with COVID, especially after the holiday, people were getting sick, and all of a sudden we didn't know what rules and regulations are. And I had asked this one person who was basically in charge of the department, what are they now? And looked at me like, "Why are you asking?" Well, I said, in the early part of the year, when somebody at cable did have COVID, we were in just like on a Wednesday for about 15 minutes. He didn't get checked until the Saturday where he was positive. So the cable was closed down for, like, I think it was a 10-day period. And we were called every day by the center, finding out how we were and so on. I says, then all of a sudden, what happened? Remember going to the restaurants or to the club or the bar where you had to put your name down and telephone number, just in case somebody got COVID, they could notify you, and so you were aware. Well, then that went wayside, and all of a sudden, some people are saying, "Oh, I got to be quarantined 5 days. I got to be 10 days." So what was the actual amount? So, me being nosy, you know that, I checked on, and this was the December 28th, 2021. It says the change in guidance is based on data which shows that the majority of COVID transmission occurs early in the course of illness, generally in the 1 to 2 days before the onset and 2 to 3 days after. So I started doing more research, and finally up came this information. And it was from Subject, a new CDC information. It says, "Happy New Year. Late last week, the Michigan Medical Association updated their quarantine guidance based on recent changes to CDC recommendations. The city of Wyandotte will continue to follow this guidance. Department heads should notify human resource of a positive test result for any employee. Employees leave banks should be used when the employee is unable to perform their daily work duties." Below, you will see the new guidance on quarantine as it relates to COVID. If tested positive, vaccinated or not, you stay home for 5 days. If you have no symptoms or your symptoms are resolving after 5 days, you can leave your house, but to continue to wear a mask around others for 5 additional days. Another, number 2, is if exposed and you're vaccinated, wear a mask around others for 10 days. Test on day 5 if possible. If exposed, non-vaccinated, stay home for 5 days. After that, continue to wear a mask around others for additional 5 days. If you can't quarantine, you must wear a mask for 10 days. And of course, test on day 5 if possible. So I had asked the individual here, okay, what's the best way to get your tests? And there's several different possibilities. First of all, I guess it's good to call your doctor, let them know about your circumstance. Sometimes they can recommend coming into the office or get a test. Now, looking it up, you find that there are, I know CVS, Rite Aid, and quite a few of those places usually have the test kits, but not all the time. But I did talk to our Human Resource Center today, and there's a possibility, I don't know if I should say it, but there's going to be a Zoom meeting with the county, and hopefully Wyandotte will be able to share and get a good source of the kits, similar to when we had the face masks. Remember, you could go down to Yak Arena and you were able to get them. So keep your fingers crossed that at least maybe we can be lucky and do that. Okay, that sort of takes care of that. I had to look up some sports news for a simple reason. A lot of things are happening. Remember, competition for cheering took place on the 8th at Ellen Park. And I found out today there were 3 divisions, actually. Woodhaven took first place in Division 1. Ellen Park, who hosted the cheering, became the first winners in Division 2, and Divine Child finished in Division 2. Wyandotte was not that lucky. They were pretty close after the first 2 rounds, but then Woodhaven and Onstead really went full speed ahead and took the place. So we'll have to find out more about their future competition. Wrestling also at Wyandotte. At Woodhaven with Southgate, Trenton, and Wyandotte, and Roosevelt, of course, took 2-0 for the day. The Woodhaven and Trenton were both 1-1. So at least, so we know wrestling is doing well, and I understand that possibly we might be able to have an interview by way of Bears Den with Jason, with Green, who is the wrestling coach, in a week or so. So those are other shows that you can get more information. Local sports should be having more on hockey, basketball, and of course they might repeat the competitive cheer and that. We have one thing though, I know with hockey, Wyandotte's going to be playing Gabriel Richard on the 12th in hockey, and that's going to be at Edsel Ford. But that's what the Michigan High School Athletic Association said. It might be that they just had that before the date, January 12th, with Edsel Ford and Bloomfield, but Riverview, Gabriel Richard, and Wyandotte was listed under that date. So things will be happening, and right now we're in the process of a lot of activity down here at the studio. We've had 2 meetings this week. Today. We had a council meeting yesterday, and that's another thing that I had called Brian Martin when he has a chance. At the council meeting, he did mention something about the banners that they are going to have as a project so that you can have your loved one, whether it's living or deceased, on a banner with a picture and the information that he was a veteran of war, okay? So we're gonna find out more about that when they get a chance. You want to hear more about Juan Shui? Pat Slack is planning on making a debut here again, and she's been doing that for years, and I always wanted to know myself, what is this all about? And I said, hey, with Christmas being done and boxed and put away, it sometimes gets to be a lousy January and February, and people might be interested and say, hey, what can I do to make my house feel a little different? So we're going to hear from her possibly in another week or so. It's like you're telling me about the week. Wait, yeah, but people have plans, they have schedules, and so we have to correspond with one another and get an idea. So anyway, we do know that there's a school board meeting today, and I hear that there's a possibility we might hear some bands, one in the lobby and one in the council chambers. And if we do, we'll be putting them on so you can get a bird's eye hearing view of what the kids are doing in school today musically. Okay, it seems like it's a short program today, but I hope it's short and sweet. We'll see you next time on Up, Down, and Around Town. Take care now. Bye-bye.